Time alignment is one of those invisible techniques that separates amateur quality vocals from professionally vocal produced songs. This is what makes top 40 pop so clean and polished. It's what lets you stack 10 vocal layers and still hear every word clearly. All of the greats are doing this every single time, and the VocAlign plugin is like vocal ketchup. I put it on everything. Follow the steps in this tutorial. Your listeners might not know why it sounds good, but they'll feel it. And if you're trying to compete in the modern pop space, this isn't optional anymore. It's the standard. Today, we're gonna fix your mix from sounding like a disorganized crowd of people where words are muddy, hard to understand, and just messy. And you can do this in one of two ways. One, you could do this by hand, which you should know how to do, but will likely only use it in really intimate acoustic songs. And then the second way, the way of technology, I'm talking VocAlign by Synchro Arts. I'm Kimera, by the way. I'm a seasoned vocal producer launching my own plugin company, which you can learn more about in the description below. I help singers and producers get clean, professional vocal sounds from their home studios. And I also share everything I know about monetizing your voice from your home studio, so hit subscribe and check out my other videos for all that good stuff. Okay, so what we're doing with time alignment is we're matching the exact timing of your background vocals, your doubles, your harmonies, to the timing of your lead vocal, down to the milliseconds. So everything sounds tight and polished. When you record a vocal double, you're trying to replicate the same performance as the lead, but humans aren't robots. Even if you nail the melody and hit every word, your timing will be ever so slightly different from the lead. And these tiny differences add up and they can create a blurry, undefined vocal sound. And we don't want that. We want that crisp, modern edge. Okay, part one, let's go over manual alignment, doing this by hand. But before we do that, let's listen to what it sounds like without time alignment.
Days turn into years, still won't face my fears, but I know it's time to change.
And you could definitely hear it with like the change, the S's definitely show it, consonants definitely let it show that things are not time aligned. It doesn't sound terrible. It's just gonna sound so much better when we line this up. So starting with manual alignment, all we're going to be doing is placing cuts before and after basically each word or consonant that we need to line up to the lead. So here's my lead and these are my backgrounds. So I will go ahead and place some cuts. We'll just do my main big basic ones. I know I'm gonna need to isolate this guy. Let's see. Let's just go to there. Okay, so we're gonna zoom in. Oops, zoom way in. And we want, especially these guys, those are gonna be our T's or our S's. That's what they look like, those pretty dense looking waveforms. Let's make it bigger. So I'm gonna want this to be over here. See how far away it is. So let me see, if I just nudge it there, then the rest of the wave doesn't look right, does it? So maybe I will take my time shifter and stretch it this way, and that kind of looks, no, it doesn't look, it's not working. So I'm gonna have to get even more surgical with this. Zooming in, it's great to make your cuts around where the peak and the trough meet at the 0 point. So I will nudge this. Oh, actually the S is right there. Do you already see how time consuming this is gonna be? Let's actually do it, hang on. And we can also do like a nice fade to make it kind of the same length as that one. I think that's probably gonna sound fine. We're not gonna be able to get it perfectly by hand, but let's move on. Okay, these can be nudged. So we're just basically cutting, nudging, and time shifting to make these look like the lead. Here's another point to look at. This one's a little later, but let's see if it sounds pretty aligned when we hear it. These ones are pretty far off. So I want to nudge this one over. That looks good. Nudge this one over. Cool. I'm thinking this one's probably not going to line up. So I'm going to want this one probably more like that. Let's check where I can put my cut. Be right there. So you see this like dip here. I feel like this part actually needs to squish this way. So that looks a little bit more in time. And then I'll nudge this over, go back to my regular shifting tool and put a crossfade, and then hopefully listen to it not sounding like a click.
into years.
Yeah, it sounded fine. Okay, so let's just listen to that one nicely time aligned.
Days turn into years.
Oh, we missed the S's.
Days turn into years. Still
Lovely. The breaths are a little different. You can either delete your background vocal breaths or line them up perfectly. Another thing I'm seeing is like this breath looks louder than this breath. That's going to cause an imbalance in your ears. So you might want to even gain this one down. But just for simplicity's sake, that's lined up. Oh, this one's way off. Check this out. Okay, this is time alignment by hand. Are we over it yet? Because I am, but it sounds good. But that is the gist of it. However, I like to use good old VocAlign, this amazing plugin that does all that shit for us. VocAlign is an audio suite plugin if you're in Pro Tools, or it's going to be like a render in place type processing plugin. So you don't like insert it on the track and it does it in real time. You have to process these audio waves. So what we'll do is we will grab the entire lead vocal and capture that. That becomes the guide vocal. So this is VocAlign saying, okay, whatever happens in here is our target. So the background vocal, we'll select all that, is our dub, capture that, and then you just hit render and notice how little bits of it moved around. So it basically moved it into time for us. I personally prefer to just time align one track at a time. You technically can select both and it will do both of the tracks at once. But in my experience, VocAlign just sounds better when you give it less to do. It does a better job. In the past, you also used to need to make sure that the start points of your tracks were the same starting point. So like that. That isn't necessary anymore, but if you're superstitious and you want to keep doing it, that is something that works. Let's listen to what this sounds like.
days turn into years. Still won't face my fears, but I know it's time to change.
Okay, so I could still hear those T's on time too because we've got another background vocal here. These ones are nicely lined, but here is one of my favorite tricks with vocal arrangement is I might just add a harmony or a background vocal that highlights some of the words in the sentence, but not all of them. But when I do that, you can't tell VocAlign this is the guide and then this is the dub because it doesn't look anywhere near the same. So here's my trick for doing this in a much more timely way. I will make a fake guide. So I'm gonna copy this to a whole new track. And then I'm just gonna, actually let's bring it down closer right here. And then I'm going to delete all the words that I'm not saying in that background. So I'll leave that in. So that will create a good guide. And then I'll delete those words. And then I'll delete these words and that. Sometimes when I do this, I might hold out that last word longer than it does in the lead because the lead's going to say the next word. So it might stop and I might hold out this background a little bit longer than the lead. So let's make this our new guide. Capture the whole background. Boom. Ooh, it really changed it a lot. All right, let's listen to that.
Days turn into years. Still won't face my fears, but I know it's time to change.
Really lined up those T's so much better. Very cool. It sounds good because it's like blended into the instrumental and there's reverb going on. But if we were to solo this, I bet we would probably hear some of these artifacts that if it was too intimate of a performance, you would choose to do this by hand and not use VocAlign. Okay, another trick I love about VocAlign is they also have this other feature called match pitch. Since these parts are singing the same melody as my lead, I can actually tell VocAlign to not only match the timing, but match the pitches. So if I tuned this maybe with Melodyne and it's perfectly in tune, I can be really lazy, sing it terribly and then just capture the background vocal, match pitch, and render that. And look at my settings here. I've got about 22 milliseconds of give. The tighter you go, the more risk of phasing issues you'll have, where it'll sound really warpy and wobbly because it's creating almost the exact same waveform, and you don't want that. So don't go more than like 10. That even probably is too much. I keep it around 20 to 30. And then my pitch, I do keep it pretty tight, 1%. I still want it to be ever so slightly different, so we still sound human. This is such a game changer. Listen to this.
Days turn into years, still won't face my fears, but I know it's time to change.
Oh, I love it. Another thing I might do, I'll get the time alignment of the first harmony how I want it, but then instead of just time aligning the next harmony too, I might actually turn this harmony into my new guide so that I can pitch match it to its partner. And that way we have matching tuning on the left and the right side because I pan these left and right, okay? Here's another tip. Sometimes you will hear that little phasing issue. I kind of heard it when we time and pitch matched. So what I might do is nudge one of them ever so slightly to the left and the other one ever so slightly to the right. That will just offset the waveforms a little bit if they are too tight, and we won't have that phasing issue so much. Let's listen to the before and after non-time aligned versus time aligned. No time alignment.
Days turn into years, still won't face my fears, but I know it's time to change.
Okay, and you can even hear how clearly one of my background vocals on that first word was pitchy.
Days turn into years.
That turn was gross, but since my lead was nice and I pitch matched it, this is the final vocal over here.
Days turn into years, still won't face my fears, but I know it's time to change.
Sounds great. Time aligned. Lyrics become crystal clear. The production sounds expensive. Just needs a good mix and we'll be radio ready. Time alignment isn't glamorous. It's not the fun part of vocal production, but it's the difference between vocals sounding like a scratch demo and vocals that belong on the charts. Drop a comment below. Let me know if you're team manual or VocAlign. I love hearing from you. Click subscribe and then check out this playlist here for more modern vocal production tips. I'll see you in the next one.